What is up, magical experimenters? This is Taylor Ellwood today, and today I thought I would choose an unusual topic and talk about how to deal with occult community drama. So what do I mean by occult community drama? I mean, you're doing your own thing, you're doing your magical practice, whatever, and you share something on Facebook or YouTube or wherever, or TikTok or whatever, and suddenly you get people in your business commenting on it and telling you that what you're doing is wrong, or that you shouldn't do this or that, or that you shouldn't charge money for your services, or whatever the usual drama is in the cult community. Now, I'm just going to be brutally honest and tell you that a lot of times people will get wrapped up in their own sense of entitlement and self-importance and feel a need to comment on what other people are doing, or what have you. And the most important thing that you can do is not get too wrapped up in responding to those people. Now, I say this as someone I've been in the occult community for a long time now, over 25 years. And, um, I'll admit occasionally I've been that person who's stirred up drama, I've gotten into the occasional arguments with other authors, or working online occult or occult conventions or whatever. Um, Sometimes I've gotten into them for good reasons, and sometimes I've gotten into it because I basically let my ego get the better of me, and I felt the need to create a problem, and I was stupid about it. I have no problem admitting that, because I don't know anybody who doesn't do something for the wrong reasons sometimes. But the more that I practice magic and the more that I really get involved in kind of my own work, the more I kind of look on with some sense of bemusement at what I see, kind of the same things, the witch wars, the people commenting and saying, well, my magical practice is better than your magical practice, or you shouldn't do this because it's unethical or immoral, or you shouldn't charge for your services, or whatever the usual reason is. And honestly, it's kind of like, why do you people even care what other people are doing? And I think it really boils down to the fact that people feel the people feel a sense of entitlement, like they need to be heard, or they feel insecure, or whatever. And my best suggestion to you, and it's one I've taken to following as I've matured and realized, the importance of just not letting other people get to me, or stuff, is just focus on what is important to you. Focus on your community, on the community of people that truly support and believe your work. I'm not saying you shouldn't be responsive if someone gives you some good feedback. Somebody could say, like, for example, I disagree with your stance on something. I've had that happen, like in comments on these YouTube videos, or elsewhere, and that's okay. I don't expect everyone to agree with me, and sometimes there's some great points. But I think when it gets to a point where it's kind of like, okay, such and such a person is deciding that they have to use their authority to put you down, or tell you how what you're doing isn't real magic, or tell you that you shouldn't charge money for something, or tell you any number of other things. What you really have to do is you have to do two things. One, you have to grow a thick skin, because the truth of the matter is you're always going to have people who are going to comment on what you do, especially if you choose to put yourself out there. Like, if you choose to share stuff, you choose to share blog articles, you choose to write books, you choose to make videos like this, whatever, you're going to have people who are going to comment on what you share. And they're going to comment on it because they had a reaction, or because they feel like their perspective is more valid, or whatever else. And you can either let it bother you, or you can choose to just shrug it off and be like, okay, whatever. Or I mean, if there's some value there, take the value for what it is. But the other thing is just focus on doing your work. Like, do your spiritual work. Don't worry about what other people have to say about what you're doing. If they're telling you that you're doing it wrong, or that what you're doing is invalid or whatever else. You know what? Life is too short to get caught up in what other people have to say. I mean, if there's valid criticism there, then take it in that vein. But if there isn't, don't let it bother you. You are going to figure out on your own through the experiences you have what works and what doesn't work. And you're going to make mistakes along the way because this is just an inevitable reality of being a human being. And it's not something to get too worked up about or anything along those lines. I think that when people get really wrapped up in offering their perspectives about why such and such is more valid than such and such, or why their practice is the only genuine practice, or why you shouldn't do X, you really have to just take a step back and recognize that this person is speaking from a place of self-importance and ego, and probably from a place of insecurity, whether they realize it or not. Do you really want to respond to them? Do you want to let them get your goat? Do you want them to control what you're doing? I'll tell you, it's not worth your time. It's not how you want to show up as a magician. I mean, if we go with the argument that, a person who's practicing magic is somebody who's manifesting reality and all that, why do you even care what other people have to say? Do your own thing. Share it if you want to, or not. I mean, it doesn't matter. But don't let people get to you because of what you're choosing to practice or choosing to believe. And I say this from experience. Again, I mean, I've been there, done that. I've had people tell me that what I practice isn't valid magic. I've had people tell me I was reinventing the wheel, things like that. And when I was younger, I did let it get to me sometimes. And there were some benefits to it. I mean, I wouldn't have written the books that I'd written if I didn't, in one sense, want to just tell those people that they were wrong. And so maybe what somebody says to you ends up motivating you. And if that's a good reason, that can be a good reason to do something then with it. But nowadays, I've kind of gotten to the point where I'm like, it doesn't really matter anymore, because I'm going to continue writing my books and doing my thing, and I'm going to interact with the people who care about my work and want to get some value out of it. And and that's all that really matters. And you might not even be that. You might not be an author. You might not be doing YouTube or anything else. Maybe you're just sharing ideas with a friend, and that's okay too. Your friend might not agree with you. Maybe they feel like they have to put you down or whatever. At that point, that's where you ask yourself, is this somebody who I really want as a friend? And you have to look at the overall interactions you have with that person. You don't have to get caught up in drama. And it's very easy to get caught up in drama. It's very easy to get caught up in what other people have to, are saying about you or what you're doing. And of course, I mean, if you want to, you can go ahead and respond to them, but think about how much time you're giving away to somebody and energy that you're giving away to somebody because they're choosing to get in your face about what you do. Is that really worth it? Or could you devote more time toward what you do and find people of, you know, like interest, who will cheer you and support you on? And again, you might find some people where they respectfully disagree, and that's great. Keep those people in your orbit. You don't want an echo chamber all the way. You want different perspectives. You want things like that. But don't get caught up in the occult community drama. You don't have to participate in it. You don't have to get into a Facebook comment or whatever else is out there. Because honestly, a lot of times what I see is I see people who kind of get into these back and forths, or people who feel the need to make some kind of outlandish statement and see how people will respond or whatever else. And it's like, really? Does it matter? You do you. And let that be, let that speak for you. Let that be enough in and of itself, and you'll be happier for it. Your gift to you and to the people that connect with you, and really to your magical practice, is to do the work and let that speak for you. That's what really matters at the end of the day, not what other people are saying or what they care about, unless it's something that's relevant to what you're doing. and it's relevant in a way that actually helps you instead of, gets in your way. And you might wonder, well, like, why did I create this video? And really, it's just because, I mean, I've always seen this trend. I mean, I remember back in the day of online bulletin boards and things like that, which if you don't know what those were, like message boards and stuff like that, back in like the 1990s and all that, I remember seeing these kinds of things, and I saw it on the E-list, and I see it on Facebook, and it just all kind of becomes a silly little game that takes you away from your work. Who really cares? You might care in the moment, but I can guarantee you down the line you won't. I mean, I think back now to some of the things that I did or spats or whatever else, and for the most part, I'm just kind of like, that was a silly waste of time. I let that person get to me, and why did I do that? And of course, you might say, well, that's great, Taylor. I mean, you're speaking of that from hindsight and all that, but hey, use that experience, okay? Use the fact that I'm giving you this experience, and don't make some of my mistakes. Don't let yourself get caught up in drama because people are getting in your face about what you do or how you practice. Just you do you, and let that be your guide to the joy and purpose of your work, because it's the joy and purpose of your work that matters more than anything else, not what other people say, not how other people validate you or invalidate you or anything else. It is what is in here. I mean, I could tell you right now, like, hey, you're doing a great job and all that, and maybe that would feel good in the moment to you. But really, at the end of the day, you have to have that intrinsic belief in yourself and in your work. It doesn't matter what I or anyone else says to you about what you're doing in the end. And this is why I always say, like, you are the ultimate authority of your life, because you are. Other people other people may have a place of respect in your life, but you should never let them become such authorities that they tell you what to do or how to do it or anything along those lines. I mean, learn from them, respect them, but don't let them dictate what you do and why you do it. Strike out on your own. And if people get in your face about what you do, and they tell you you shouldn't do this or that or whatever else, just let it just float off your back like like water leaving a duck's back. Don't let it get to you, because you could spend your time arguing with them, or you could spend your time doing magic. You could spend your time creating something beautiful. You could spend your time making art or writing or whatever. And I'll tell you, I would much rather do all of those things than spend time arguing with people, which is really why anymore I don't argue with people for the most part, because I'm just like, someone wants to get in my face, I'm usually just like, okay, I'm just going to unfriend you, see you later, or whatever, because I don't have time for that. I just don't care about it anymore. I'm not invested in whatever they're invested in. I'm invested in my journey and my path and the work that I do, and I'm invested in my community and serving my community. And I think that's really the best place to operate from, because then you are truly tapping into an intrinsic satisfaction that keeps you moving forward on your path, as opposed to an external one where you're looking for validation. So keep that in mind, and hopefully that helps you. And if you know someone who's caught up in some occult drama right now, have them watch this video. Maybe that'll help them sort themselves out. And if you find this video helpful, go ahead and click the subscribe button, and then click the bell notification, so that way you get notified the next time I go live, or just the next time a video gets uploaded. All right, thanks folks, take care, and have a great week.